On today's show, 3 of the world's largest oil companies are dealt critical blows as courts and investors grow tired of their inaction on climate change. Lordstown announces it's running out of money, putting its endurance pickup production plans in jeopardy, and how it's now possible in one part of the US to lease a Nissan LEAF for 99 cents. But there is a huge catch. These stories and more coming next. This is Ecotricity's ECOTEC Roundup show from New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in New Zealand. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup in the world of clean cars and green energy. Thank you for joining me. We start today with what I'm going to call Big Oil's worst ever week. It is essentially the beginning of the end, the start of the tolling bell, the raven that says no more, the grim calling oil's name. You see, on Wednesday, a Dutch court ordered Royal Dutch Shell to cut its carbon emissions by 45% by 2030. And the very same day, Chevron's board of management lost a vote against investors, who voted in a motion to force the company to cut its carbon emissions. And if that wasn't enough, a tiny activist investor group hedge fund, backed by Exxon's second largest corporate shareholder, BlackRock, succeeded in getting 2 climate activist board candidates nominated. These board members now represent 1/6 of Exxon's board, but 8 of Exxon's nominations also won seats. The message is simple: change or become part of the history books. Ford held its official Capital Markets Day this week, a streamed event similar to Tesla's Investor Days and Volkswagen's Power Day. In addition to committing to spending $30 billion on electric vehicles and battery technology by the end of the decade, Ford CEO Jim Farley said that the company wants 40% of its global sales to be electric by 2030. This was later broken down by Farley's colleagues, who reiterated that Ford believes 1/3 of all pickup trucks and 70% of all commercial vehicle sales would be EV in the same timeframe. During the presentation, Ford outlined its plans for battery cell production, including multiple different chemistries for different applications, and it announced that it believed commercial solid-state batteries were feasible in the next few years. Watch this space. During the 8 years that it's been in production, BMW has gradually upgraded the features and range of both the i3 and i3 Rex, improving the battery pack from 18.2 kWh usable to 37.9 kWh usable. It's even allowed customers in some markets the option to upgrade their car's battery pack for a larger one. For a fee, obviously, something that's relatively unusual in the EV world. But this week we learned that BMW is being not so forward-thinking with its telematics. You see, the 3G telematics module in early i3s will stop working in February next year, when the last of North America's 3G cell towers are deactivated. BMW, writing to affected customers, tells them that, quote, "there is not a technology upgrade available." Which means if you have an early BMW i3, you can say bye-bye to all the native connected services, including preconditioning and charge monitoring. Here's hoping the Open Vehicle Monitoring System adds the BMW i3 to its list of supported vehicles. Lordstown Motors has been promising the automotive world the moon on a stick for some time, holding plenty of public relations events, and yes, even using the then president and vice president to help it gain some extra credence and publicity. But this week, Lordstown's CEO has announced that the company has more than halved its production goals for this year and is in need of some extra capital in order to help it reach volume production. If you've been watching this show for any length of time, you'll know this is hardly a surprise, especially given it's currently being investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission over statements made on pre-order volumes, and it's also managed to burn through $125 million in the first quarter this year. Frankly, it's not looking good. When the Tesla Model 3 entered into production in 2017, it became the very first Tesla to feature a driver-facing camera. When Tesla began production of Model Y a few years later, it too featured that same camera. And now, thanks to the design refresh for Model S and Model X, that camera is now in all of Tesla's vehicles. Originally, Tesla said the camera was to prevent people from vandalizing cars when those cars were being used in robotaxi mode. Then last year, it activated the cameras for the first time, asking owners if they'd allow Tesla to take videos and pictures it said it would use to develop safety features and enhancements for the future. Now it's confirmed that camera will be actively used to monitor driver inattentiveness, something that should prevent, or at least reduce, instances of driver autopilot abuse. Tesla, it's about time. Thank you. Last week, after Ford unveiled its F-150 Lightning pickup truck, there are a lot of unanswered questions about the truck's real-world range, most noticeably from those who worried that with a load on board or when towing, the F-150 Lightning's real-world range would be, frankly, subpar. This week, Ford addressed those concerns, telling a group of journalists, including myself, during an online briefing that the EPA target ranges that Ford has quoted, 230 to 300 miles, which is 370 to 482 kilometres, were calculated with 1,000 pounds, 453 kilograms of load on board. And as YouTuber MKBHD discovered when he had a prototype F-150 Lightning visit his studio this week, unladen range could be significantly higher. Think upwards of 400 miles, 644 kilometres. The Hyundai Motor Group, the parent company of Hyundai, Kia and Genesis, is readying itself to slash the number of different internal combustion engines it produces. In a report from Reuters, sources close to the company said that the reduction in engine models will result in one half of its current internal combustion engine variants ceasing production completely, reducing options for ICE customers, but also freeing up its resources to allow it to focus on new electric vehicle drivetrains, electric vehicles, and hydrogen fuel cell vehicle development. It's not clear when the change will occur, but given the number of vehicles it's now promised on the group's new eGMP EV architecture, I suspect the move will be relatively swift to allow the company to reposition itself and remain competitive in the marketplace. We, and many others in the automotive world, have been eagerly awaiting the start of deliveries for the Rivian R1T electric pickup truck, which we'd all expected would begin at the start of June, as promised previously by Rivian. This week, Rivian announced that it's delayed the start of R1T deliveries by a few weeks, reaching out to Rivian R1T Launch Edition customers and informing them that initial pickup deliveries are being pushed back to July. It's a small delay, and Rivian says it will begin a test drive program for non-Launch Edition pre-order holders this August, with test drives due to take place in LA, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Detroit, and Seattle. If you've got an R1T on order, we'd love to know when you expect your delivery to occur, so let us know in the comments below. Ever since it was announced, the Extreme E race series has attracted a lot of attention, both because it's the world's first off-road electric race series and because it plans on visiting remote and endangered parts of the world to race electric vehicles while simultaneously highlighting the effects of anthropogenic climate change on the world's peoples. This weekend, the second official Extreme E race kicks off in Senegal, West Africa. Called the Ocean X Prix, drivers will race to victory on the beaches of Lac Rosé, while simultaneously highlighting the damage that microplastic pollution is having on the fragile ocean ecosystem, and thus the future of local fishing communities who rely on the ocean for their livelihoods. You can find out more by heading to extreme-e.com. In more than a decade of driving and covering the electric vehicle world, I've seen some truly amazing deals offered by car companies and dealerships alike that are designed to get people out of gas guzzlers and into EVs. Some of the best, $99 lease deals for the Fiat 500e several years ago, and some truly incredible cash-on-hood incentive deals. But one dealership in Springfield, Virginia has gone further than ever before, offering the Nissan LEAF for 99 cents for a 2-year, 10,000-mile per year lease. The only catch is that you need to buy a 2020 or 2021 Nissan Titan pickup truck. The dealership only had 5 long-range Leafs on its lot, but buying a gas guzzler to buy an EV? I can't decide if that's genius or just evil. And finally, General Motors has been working hard all year to rebrand itself and push towards an all-electric future, and as such, we have seen plenty of new electric vehicles announced and future models teased. But GM's latest electric vehicle? It's out of this world. That's because GM has just announced it's teaming up with Lockheed Martin to develop the Lunar Terrain Vehicle, an all-electric extraterrestrial vehicle that will provide mobility to astronauts on NASA's upcoming Artemis moon missions. GM was responsible for the drivetrain and batteries used in the Apollo moon rovers, so it's great to see GM return to the moon with Artemis. This time, GM says the LTV will have autonomous technology to keep astronauts as safe as possible on the unpredictable lunar surface. And yes, I have a mission patch, and yes, it's going on my Chevrolet Bolt, whose name is Artemis. And on that note, we are done for the day. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next episode. And if you haven't already switched, why not consider switching to New Zealand's only carbon zero certified renewable electricity company? It is super easy to make that switch. And when you do, you'll help New Zealand wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean, green power that will keep the land beautiful for generations to come. I'll be back soon with more great videos for you all to enjoy. But until then, I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite! See you next time.